When you and I think of gifting, it's typically a quid pro quo experience. Somebody gifts you something, you feel compelled to gift them something back. It's almost like this knee-jerk reaction. Oh, thank you. Look, I've got this for you. True gifting doesn't really involve that knee-jerk reaction, doesn't involve that quid pro quo. True gifting is you simply accepting the other person's gift. You saying yes to the gift. That's true gifting, without any expectations of reciprocity.
This is A Joyful Rebellion, the podcast that explores that moment you realize the life and success you worked so hard to create didn't come with all the fulfillment you thought it would. I'm your host, James Walters, and I want you to be the author of your own story. Each week, I connect with people who inspire bold answers to the question, what do I do now to create a life I love? If you're ready to start answering that question for yourself, you're in the right place. So let's start a joyful rebellion. Nicholas Adkins was a healthcare executive. Think custom suits, cufflinks, running a company in 37 states. Then his dad died. So he went to Burning Man and he came back a completely different person. He sold the company, he moved to Portland, he started wearing kilts, and then showed up to a healthcare conference in Chicago with 100 pairs of bright pink socks. And what happened next became a global movement. In this conversation, Nick talks about human connection, why we're starving for it, how little it takes to create it, and why saying it's good to see you instead of nice to meet you changes everything. Nicholas Adkins, thank you so much for being here on A Joyful Rebellion.
James, thank you. It's good to see you.
We are here today to talk about pink socks, and we are here to talk about spreading love. We're here to talk about human connection and humanity and what you've learned about all of those things in your journey. So just start us back to the point where you had this epiphany and you're like, okay, I need to be like that bumper sticker, be the change I want to see in the world.
Yeah.
And this is how I'm going to do it. So walk me back to the day where you came up with the concept of pink socks.
I'm grateful that I'm going to be able to share this story with your audience. And I would like to preface this with, I'm still learning. So it's not like I've found all the answers. Every day is a teachable moment, is a learning opportunity. So I don't presume that I have all of the answers. I don't know if I have any of the answers. We'll have to find those, I think, on our own. Well, how it all started. Let's go back to 2010. So in 2010, I was living in Nashville, Tennessee. I was a healthcare executive, a COO of a national healthcare company, suit and tie guy, custom suits, cufflinks. For most of my adult life, I was that guy, the suit and tie guy, the executive. And, there's a couple of things that lined up in my life personally in 2010 that really set up the perfect storm, if you will, for me to become the next version of myself, to the next evolution. The two main things that lined up. Number one, in June of 2010, my dad passed away from cancer. He had a cancer diagnosis about 3 years prior. And here I am, this CEO of a healthcare company. I've got all the contacts and all the doctors, and you can't save them. You just have to go along on the ride, bear witness and hold space. And I was grateful to be able to do that with my dad. So we did the bucket list, all the things. And this friend of mine who I grew up with, a childhood friend, had known since junior high and went to high school together, who's living in San Diego. He called me up and said, hey, do you remember this thing? So this is back in 2010, right? He goes, do you remember this thing we looked at, years ago? And years ago meant probably 1995 that Al Gore had just invented the internet. We're all looking up stuff. We had found this thing called Burning Man, which was a festival, and it's a transformative experience. It's a social experiment out in the desert in Nevada that goes on every year for 1 week. About 70,000 people from around the world gather and descend on the middle of nowhere in this desert. And I said, I think I remember that. And so when we first looked at it, the timing wasn't right. My kids were small and it was going to be difficult to get away for that long and blah, blah, blah. So now 2010, I go, oh yeah, let me log back in and look. And, oh yeah, that thing. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, depending on how my dad is, maybe we'll be able to go, maybe we can't go, but let's go ahead and get the tickets. And if it all works out, I'll go. And if I can't go, I'll sell my tickets. That event was in August. My dad died in June. So now I can, I've got the self-space and the self-permission to go do this thing. In 2010, I went to Burning Man for my first time. From a business standpoint at work, we were trying to decide what to do with the company at that time. We were operating in 37 states and I was 45 years old then. And like, what should we do with the company? Should we take on some more debt, some more capital? Should we build this piece out? Should we merge with them? Should we acquire them? Should we just be acquired? Should we sell? And I sat in the boardroom, adjusted my cufflinks, and went around. They said, well, I don't really know what my vote on this is. I'm going to go to this thing in the desert in Nevada called Burning Man, and I'm going to come back with an answer. So off I went to Burning Man. And when I came back after that week, now I'm in the boardroom, not in a suit and tie, but in blue jeans and a t-shirt, and I'm wearing Tevas, and I hadn't shaved, so I had a little scruffy. And they were like, well, how was that Burning Man thing? I said, it was great. And they're like, well, what do you want to do with the company? I said, sell it. I'm out.
Wow.
Done. And they're like, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to move to Portland, Oregon and become a hippie. That's what I did. So, yeah.
How about that? Because they saw you before Burning Man, suit and tie, and they saw you after, and they had to know, okay, something's going on with Nick. What happened out there, Nick? What sort of UFO abducted you and scrambled your brain?
Yeah. Well, I think, like I say, it's the combination of those two things. Being with my dad on his journey, I bear witness to that. And, up to that point in my life, I was very, type A, probably a control freak, little OCD, lived everything in the Excel spreadsheet, if then type of linear thinking. But going through my dad's process and sitting with that at Burning Man and really saying, okay, well, Nick, life isn't linear. It's not a series of if then equations. It's not like, oh, if you reach this age, then you'll do this, or if you get this much money, then you do this. James, we're all one phone call away from it's cancer. We're all one heartbeat away from a heart attack or a stroke. We're all one nanosecond away from that 18-wheeler drifting into our lane. This life, it's so fragile. It's happening right now, right here, so don't miss it. And that was one of the main takeaways that I came back with in 2010 from Burning Man was, what is it you really want to do? So I really just want to give hugs and show up and try to be kind and not worry so much about the money. I've had money, I've lost money, and brought money back. What are you waiting on? And the answer I came up with is, well, I'm not waiting. I'm going now. And I'm going to see how far that can go. So I moved to Portland, Oregon, and was doing a really great job of being a hippie. About 2 or 3 years. I wasn't even on LinkedIn. Back then, LinkedIn was really just a place to go get a job, just a resume site. And somebody said, hey, get a LinkedIn account. And I'm like, well, why? I'm not looking for a job. And like, no, you'll meet other people in town. And so I did. I set this kind of thing, well, I'm going to only go have coffee with other founders in the healthcare space because that's kind of my wheelhouse. I really only want to connect with founders, CEOs, and CTOs to see what's going on. And maybe I want to be a mentor, an advisor, or maybe I want to be an investor. I didn't really want to be a player. I didn't really want to go back inside. I posted my LinkedIn account right after Thanksgiving, I think in 2012. And a guy reached out to me who was one of the original founders of WebMD, who lives in Portland. And he said, hey, I'd like to saw your stuff. I'd like to get together, have coffee. Sure. And James, I have to tell you, and this is really central to the Pink Sock story, is right after I moved here, I met a guy who owns a kilt company. And he said, Nick, have you ever worn a kilt? And I said, no. He was going to try one. I said, yes. So June of 2012, that was the last time I wore pants.
Wow.
So I only wear kilts, and I took all my pants and suits and all that to Goodwill long ago. I only wear kilts, and I only wear their brand, Stumptown Kilts, out of Portland. James, day one of wearing a kilt, first thing I recognized was you have to wear fun socks because everybody sees your socks. So you can't be that geek in the Bermuda shorts with the long black knee-high dress socks. You can't be that guy. I went and bought all the fun, funky socks I could find, man. T-Rexes, cupcakes, unicorns, rainbows, Sasquatch, you name it. And the one that got the most, hey, I love your socks, were these pink knee-high socks with black handlebar mustaches on them. Going back now to 2014-ish, that guy I met to have coffee, he said, listen, we kept meeting and having coffee together, and I kept looking at what was going on, what they were doing. And I said, yeah, next thing I know, I'm a co-founder in a health tech startup in Portland. And our CTO and co-founder, a guy named Andrew Richards, and I were like, number one, we've got to go raise some money. And how we're going to do that is, all the money's down in the Bay Area in San Francisco, around there, in Boston, New York, but nobody's ever heard of us. And at that time, Portland was not really a tech scene, especially in healthcare. Anyway, we created the world's first open API for asynchronous video file management and a HIPAA stack, which is a healthcare piece for privacy. Basically, the ability to record, store, and share a video file. And I said to Andrew, look, we got to get people to know about us. And so I jumped online and I found this association of healthcare IT professionals. And they were having their big, Super Bowl annual conference in Chicago that year in 2015. And I said to Andrew, you and I are going to go to that thing in Chicago. There's going to be 42,000 healthcare IT professionals there. And we're going to go rolling in, and they're in suits and ties. I don't even have a suit anymore. And I'm not going to buy pants for this thing. So I'll be wearing a kilt, and you wear blue jeans and a brew pub t-shirt. And I'm going to go get 100 pairs of these pink socks with the black mustache on them, the handlebar mustaches. You put 50 pairs in your little backpack, and I'm going to put 50 pairs in my little backpack, and we're going to go rolling into the McCormick Center. And people are just going to come up and go, hey, what's your story with the pink socks? And I'm going to go, hey, well, I'm Nick, and this is Andrew. What's your name? And let's connect. And we'll give them a pair of pink socks. And back then in 2015, Twitter was still Twitter, and it was fun. And so we were tweeting and posting and taking pictures of everybody that we're gifting pink socks to. It became a thing. As soon as we stepped in the McCormick Center, we gifted the very first pair of pink socks to Dr. Eric Topol. Eric Topol is a physician scientist down in San Diego at Scripps, acclaimed author. I mean, he's one of the early, social media gods in healthcare. And we run into him, and literally just in the foyer, the lobby of the McCormick Center. And I gifted him a pair of pink socks, and he's like, Nick, I really like what you guys are doing up there in Portland. I go, really? And I go, can I quote you on that? And he goes, I wish you would. And I was like making the tweet. And this is the guy who only does his own content, right? So he doesn't retweet or post other stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, is this okay if I tweet this? Because the last thing I wanted to do was piss this guy off, the ruin of us. He said, yeah, that's great. And so I put this tweet together, and he loves what we're doing. And we got a picture of him with, getting his pink socks. And have a great day. Thank you. And 10 feet later, we're walking into the McCormick Center through the doors onto the conference floor. I looked down at my phone, and I said, Andrew, oh shit, Dr. Topol just retweeted my tweet. I mean, I hate to sound like a teenager, but that's kind of what we're like, just giddy that, and literally steps into the conference floor. People, handlers from other companies are coming up, and they're saying, hey, we want you to come meet with our CMO at Dell. We want you to come over to the Intel booth and meet with the CEO. We want you to come meet at Walgreens for the CTO. And we're just like, all based on Dr. Topol retweeting that tweet. It really was quite surprising. So there was no plan on this. It just happened. Started using this hashtag pink socks. Always one word, always plural. And that hashtag went viral at the event, took over the conference. We met tons of people. I had lots of great connections that are still friends today, 11 years later. It just kept doing that. And Andrew and I kept going to different events, different conferences throughout that year, giving away more pink socks, and just kept becoming a thing. And then in 2016, it was time to go back to that annual conference. And that next year it was in Orlando. And I told Andrew, I said, listen, we're sitting on my sofa and on the phone, and we're like, we can't go back and do pink socks again. We did it for a year. It was fun. Yay. But we should do something else. And somebody sent me a DM while I'm on the phone with Andrew. Somebody sent me a DM and said, hey, Nick, did you send some pink socks to somebody in the Netherlands? No. Hey, look. There's a guy who sent me a DM and said, look, this guy's in the Netherlands. He had sourced pink socks on his own and was gifting them to drive awareness for the work that he was doing with Alzheimer's and dementia care. Mm-hmm. And then somebody else, this is happening in real time. Somebody else sends me a DM. Hey, Nick, did you send some pink socks to somebody in Wales? I'm like, no. There's a guy sourced pink socks on his own and was gifting them to drive awareness for the work that he does with ataxia, which is a rare disease. Mm-hmm. It's in that moment that we knew that pink socks had become something on its own. Mm-hmm. I said to Andrew, get a bigger bag. We're taking more pink socks. And then in 2000, I think it was 17, I got invited to go do a TED Talk in San Francisco. And they called me up and they said, hey, Nick, we'd like you to come do this talk in San Francisco. And I'm like, on what? Because that was kind of the major use case, if you will, for our technology. And they're like, no, we want you to come talk about the pink socks movement. And I was like, no, it's not a movement. It's just a bunch of happy, smiley people gifting each other pink socks and playing on Twitter. And they're like, no, it's a movement. And we want you to come tell the story on the TED stage. And I was like,
it took you a minute to catch up to the fact that it was a movement.
Right. And when did that, and it hasn't really looked back. We literally, we're around the world, man. And it is built on this ethos of gifting, that someone will see you in your pink socks. Or maybe, at this point we got gear. Maybe you're in a hoodie or a t-shirt, or they just see a sticker on your computer, your water bottle. Just love more. Yeah, love more, fear less, man. Right? And they'll say, hey, I like that. Or I like your socks. Well, that's it right there, James. That's the opportunity. That's the universe tapping you on the shoulder, saying, okay, take your earbuds out, get off your phone, and connect. And say, hey, I'm Nick. What's your name? James. Hey, James, it's good to see you. Well, wait a minute. Hey, I've actually got something in my bag here. These are for you. Boom. And I gift you your pink socks. And I say, I know you believe the message on the label, which reads, the world is full of good. When you believe it, you see it. Keep doing that. Yeah. And for the people who are just listening to this, I'm holding up a pair of pink socks. They are, in fact, bright pink. And they have the Mustache handlebar, which is from the OG pink socks. But when I did that TED Talk, we added a puzzle piece as a design element. So on the socks, the pink socks, there's black handlebar mustaches and puzzle pieces. Puzzle piece represents the power of connection. And the instructions are on the back of the label, James, which is what I've just already said. Every time you wear these, you're going to connect with someone new. Don't miss each one of those opportunities. Connect, stop and say, hey, it's good to see you. Yeah, that's where the real magic is. And I tell you, James, in a world that is starved for connection and kindness and empathy, love, we're grateful to be playing a small part of it each day, right? So if there's, if we've gifted over 300,000 pairs, it's not accounting for all the other gear, but we'll just use 300,000 as a number. If 300,000 people today each have one connection on the train, on the bus, standing in line at the post office, the grocery store, say, hey, it's good to see you. Hey, I'm Nick. What's your name? If we just have one of those, 300,000 people in the world, what if we do 2 of those each today? 5 each, 10 each, 20? The exponential ripple effect of kindness that grows around the world each day. Well, we just have to keep doing that. And, the message of pink socks transcends all political ideologies and geopolitical boundaries. And it's a simple message that our heart already knows. Sometimes we have to get out of our mind, which gets in the way, It's overthinking, overanalyzing. Move back into the message of what our heart knows. Let our heart speak. Let's listen to it. Let's feel it. And that is that love is the way. And, through the years, people have said, Nick, you should write a book, about the pink socks. And I said, oh, no. Well, last year I finally wrote the book. So after 10 years of pink socks life around the world, we wrote this book. It's called Pink Socks, How a Pair of Socks Became a Symbol of Love and Connection. I believe the book took 10 years to write itself because it's a collection of stories. It's the detail of the history of how we got started and all that along the way. But it's a collection of stories of heart speak, of shared connection between people, and how that is so important for each of us. I mean, we confuse names by design, taught, or programmed to confuse this thing, our phone or device, computer, that this is connection. It's not. This is connectivity. It's not connection. You and I are using this platform right now. This is connectivity, but we're using it to have a connection, a true, authentic connection. In the pre-interview, when you and I were pre-riffing and pre-funking here, we kind of vetted that we're real, that we're not AI, and we're not avatars, right?
Yeah.
That you and I are actually real old dudes with cool white beards. And so as we rapidly watch AI evolve, these moments of true, authentic connection become more and more important for each of us. And there's nothing more authentic and real and genuine as in real life. And again, those opportunities present themselves to each of us throughout the day in very small ways. And it is as simple as getting off your phone, taking those earbuds out, and just looking at the person next to you and say, how's it going? A lot of times that makes all the difference in both of your lives that day. And the book goes into more of how those moments of connection spawn some really shared, heartfelt stories, and how we can see humanity in each other when we give ourselves the permission and the space to do that. That's a whole lot of talking.
I'd love to rewind back a little bit and just talk about the moment you realized the pink socks was going to be bigger than the way it began. Because the way it began, you had a company, you felt like you guys were fairly unknown and you needed a way to increase awareness and get people talking. And then you accomplished that at the convention and people were talking, and that served a purpose for your business. And then of course you had that experience with getting the DMs, hey, did you send socks here? But what was the actual moment that you realized, okay, we've got something that could go a lot farther than just raising awareness for our company, and we want to tie this in with a bigger message that we feel like the world needs? What was that moment like?
Yeah, from the beginning that first year, I just want to make sure, we never used pink socks as swag, like it's just comfort swag. We always used it as a token, a reminder that once upon a time, I connected with somebody in real life at this event in San Francisco or Palo Alto or New York or Boston or Orlando or Vegas or Chicago, wherever. I met this person and they gifted me these. And, in retrospect, we probably should have handed out business cards, but we didn't. We just kept handing out pink socks, and we just kept, oh, it's the pink socks guys, and we would just wander around. And then people were like, we would give batches of pink socks for people to go give pink socks to other people. And then people would say, what's this all about? And what does it mean? I'm like, from the beginning, I go, I don't know. What does it mean to you? That we should just be kind and celebrate each other and help lift each other up. That's exactly what it means. So now here going into our 12th year, we just had this birthday. People still ask, well, Nick, what is it about? I still have that same, they'll read the label or they'll see the Love More logo, or we have a van that, if you go to our Instagram account, it's pinksocks.life, which is also our website, pinksocks.life. You'll see pictures of the van and the socks and the mustache and big Love More on it. People say, what is it? What is this? What does it mean? And even now I say, well, what does it mean to you? Because that's really what's important, what it means to you. And so by design, and even after we put some structure around it, became a nonprofit, as an entity, we're really a paradox. We're an organization that has multiple missions, not just one. And so we help celebrate other nonprofits and help drive awareness for the good work that they're doing in their communities, in their towns, right? You know, the big nonprofits everybody's heard of, they don't really need help amplifying their message. But there's so many little nonprofits all around in your town that are doing great work, and they just need some help getting their mission and their voice amplified out there. So we really, learned very quickly that on social media, especially Twitter back then, because Twitter was fun, that we had built a global stage, and we said, well, let's invite other nonprofits to come up and play on our stage. And the Pink Socks tribe around the world will see them, they'll use our hashtag, we'll gift them socks. Let's celebrate the work that you're doing in Carrboro, North Carolina on feeding hungry children, or work that you're doing in Denver with the women's shelter, or San Diego giving clothes and items to homeless people, on and on and on. Send them some pink socks, tell them to wear them, use our hashtag when they do their events, and that will help voice amplify them. And that's what we did, and that's what we still do. And all of this is in the book, and we're now involved with schools in the US. But to answer your question, for me, when I found my answer for what's this all about, what does it really mean, Nick? For me, I'm grateful it came early. It came in the second year for me. And so in 2016, I was at a event at Stanford down in Palo Alto. It was a conference that was called MedX. It was a patient-driven event. So all the speakers were patients, patient navigators. Instead of being tech bros or CEOs from companies, or it was hearing heart speak from the patient side, from the patient story. I had done a talk around empathy, using our technology for helping with empathy between providers and patients and their care teams. And afterwards, I'm out in the foyer of that hall at Stanford, and a gentleman walked up to me, and he's about my age, maybe a little younger. So this is 2016. So this is pre-COVID. This is, we weren't at that point walking around in surgical masks, but this guy was, he came up to me, he's wearing a blue surgical mask. And he said, I really like your talk. He goes, do you have a minute? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I've got all kinds of time. So he walked over and began to tell me a story. His name is John. And John tells me his story about why he's wearing the mask. It's because he's a lung transplant recipient. Both lobes of his lung had to be removed and transplanted. And he goes into the story of telling me his donor's story about how he got his new lungs. And as John is sharing that heart speak with me, tears are running down his eyes, turning his blue mask dark, where the trails are tearing down his mask. I'm crying, listening to John, holding space with his story. It's in that moment that I knew what this was really about. And it was about connection. It was about sharing space with someone else's heart speak, listening to their story, feeling that story, and finding ourselves in each other's stories. And so I'm grateful that the universe let me learn that lesson early in the Pink Socks life journey. In fact, in the book, that's chapter 2. And throughout the book, there are QR codes. I invite people, when you get the book, to have your phone handy, and everywhere there's a QR code, go down that rabbit hole. Chapter 2 is written from my heart, my voice, my memory of that with John. And if you click the QR code, you go hear the story from John's perspective, from his memory and John's words. It was all of the things. It still was fun. We're still gifting socks to everybody. But for me, I knew where the magic was on this. And it really wasn't about the socks. It wasn't about the stickers or anything else. It was a celebration of connecting with another human. And, James, we all crave connection as humans. It's hardwired back here in our brainstem. It's in our DNA that we crave connection with other humans. The moment that we we understand that and we accept that, and maybe we even practice this, it becomes easier to connect with other people. It becomes easier to take those earbuds out and to get off your phone and to let go of the conditioning of the algorithms. And once we understand that we're all craving it, we all want to connect. We just have to be brave enough the first few times and try it. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. And I'll tell you, this to be true is when we share space with people one-on-one, no matter where we come from in the world, when we share space with each other one-on-one outside of our teams or our sides or our ideologies, what we find one-to-one is that we are all so much more alike, so much more similar, so much more the same than we are different. We all want to watch the flowers bloom. We all want to go watch the kids play football or soccer. We all want to have a pint with our mates whenever our friends over for dinner, on and on. These things, no one wants the perma-crisis that we find ourselves in daily. We all want peace. We all want safety. We all want love and connection. And if we just give ourselves the self-permission, the space to do that, changes the world, James.
It certainly can. And hearing that makes me think I want to rewind even further, because it sounded like you had a major life experience that I would love to cover. Back in 2010, you attended that first Burning Man, and like you described, you left that conference in the conference room in a suit. You went to Burning Man, you come back, no more suits, and you want to sell the company. So what was it that happened? What did you experience at Burning Man that kind of made you shift your whole life all of a sudden, like within a week?
Well, I think I did some accelerated grieving and celebration and awakening of where I was in my life. And again, I back that up. I think, the precursor here was the 2.5 years that I spent on my dad's journey from his cancer diagnosis to his death, and being with him when he died was really the more important event, the more big life event. And was seeing, hey, Nick, you got 45 years into this. There's no guaranteed you're going to get another 45, so what are you waiting on? What is it you really want to do? In fact, the answer for that for me was, I don't really know what I want to do, but I know what I don't want to do. So if you're done with this, jump. Just jump and trust that the universe is going to provide, that this is going to work. Let go of any fears you have, and know that if you'll just continue to show up as much as you can with all of your true authenticity and not knowing and just surrendering, that the answers just keep showing up. And so, really, James, that's what I did. And I try to do that every day. And there's two words that I use throughout my waking time. And those words are gratitude and patience. Gratitude and patience. And so I try to wake up in gratitude. It's all right, I'm still here. And then I go have that cup of coffee. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for the rain. I'm grateful for those flowers. Just so much gratitude in my life, my kids, my grandkids, on and on, health, and just so much gratitude. And then the things that I feel like, I really, need this to happen, or want to, just be patient. Gratitude and patience. When these things that you want, when they happen, instead of going, yes, and so just grateful, say thank you. And the more that you're grateful, the more these things appear, the more the universe provides for you. That's all she really asks is gratitude and patience. And so I try to practice those. Like most things, the more that we practice them, the easier they become. And I'm grateful. and I'm patient.
Let's say you're in this airport, you're traveling to the next stop, and you just happen to look over and you see someone sitting there reading their laptop, doing whatever they're doing. They got their legs crossed, and you see some bright pink socks sticking out with some mustaches on them.
Yeah.
What's your first thought?
My first thought is, I wonder who gifted them their pink socks. I wonder how many circles away we are from connections from, do I know the person that gifted them their pink socks? And this has happened on more than one occasion that I would be sitting, at the gate waiting for the flight. And again, I'm in a kilt and knee-high pink socks. And so I'll be sitting there and I'll see them across the way in their pink socks. And sometimes they don't have their pink socks on, but they look at me, they'll come up and they'll say, "Are you the guy?" And I'll go, "I don't know, am I?"
It depends.
I go, "I'm Nick, what's your name?" And they'll say, "I'm Susan, I'm Bob, hey, it's good to see you." And they're like, "Oh my gosh." And I'd say, "Well, who gifted you your pink socks?" "Oh, Julie from Denver." I'm like, "I know Julie." That happens and it's fun. I still get up every day and search the hashtag pink socks on social media. Most of us have migrated over to LinkedIn, it seems, at this point, to see and celebrate what's happening out there, who's gifting pink socks today and where they're showing up in the world. A great example was the other day, this week, it's Monday. A guy who lives in Toronto was at an event. I think it was somewhere in California, but I'm not exactly sure. An OG from the beginning guy. His name is Colin Hung, who lives in Toronto. He gifted pink socks to Eric Estrada. And I think you're old enough to remember Chips.
Yeah.
Punch. Yeah.
Punch.
I'm like,
yeah.
Punch got pink socks. So that was fun. And so if you go to LinkedIn and search pink socks, one word, plural, you'll see that post I'm talking about. So that, just stuff like that is fun. Yeah, 5 astronauts have pink socks. Commander Chris Hadfield, the Canadian astronaut who did David Bowie from the International Space Station, played Major Tom on the space.
Okay.
He's got pink socks. There's a chapter in the book I talk about how our first astronaut, Captain John A. McBride. I'm just grateful to be part of it, just to see what people have done with it and continue to do with it. So there's a lot of good in the world. Yeah.
And it sounds like one of those things where you start it and then it gets away from you, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Because you see the enthusiasm and the energy that other people are putting into it, because it is fun. It can have impact. It can create some connection.
Yeah, this has no business plan. And I've done a few business plans, a few startups, went to business school, have an MBA, all those things, my goodness. This is the first organization that I've ever, been a part of where there is no plan, and by design. So that early on, Andrew and I looked at each other and go, he's like, "What now?" I go, "Look, Andrew, let's just let it keep going. Let's don't define it. Let's don't fence it in. Let's just give it free reign. Let's open source the logo, just give away as many pink socks as help people support whatever they're doing. Just let's go and let's see where it goes." And this is certainly atypical as an organization, but I also believe that that's what has allowed us to grow organically around the world by, hey, go use pink socks how you want to. Go use it to celebrate the work you're doing, and we'll all cheerlead what you're doing. Social media is so much of, hey, look at me, look at how cool I am, look at my wonderful holiday, I'm on vacation here, look at this little heart on top of my coffee, isn't it cute? There's so much of that, right? So pink socks is an opportunity for you to celebrate someone other than yourself. It's an opportunity for you to say, hey, look at what they're doing, look at what she's doing in her community, look at what he's doing. We all celebrate each other. Just give ourselves a break from celebrating ourselves, right? And so that celebration of community, of tribe, of connection is really what it's all about. So we just say, keep doing that, man. Just keep. When we say the world is full of good when you believe it, you see it, keep doing that. That's its own mantra. But it doesn't negate the fact that, the world is also full of a lot of awful. There's a lot of shit in the world, but it's the lens we look through. What we focus on, that's what we're going to see. That's where we put our energy and our attention. So that's where it goes. And so you have to make an intentional, conscious choice. Well, let's focus on something good, man. Let's just put our phones down, let go of the algorithms that are trying to put fear in our head and divide us, and just say hi to that person in line next to you at the post office. Just those moments you've got right there, and see how that makes us feel. That's what we're doing. I invite people to come to pinksocks.life, look at the website, look at the Instagram account, see what we're doing. If you'd like to help support us, great. If you'd like to buy the book, great. All the proceeds from the book go to the nonprofit. But if pink socks aren't your thing, that's okay. Find what is your thing. What is that thing that's going to help spawn a connection for you today when you're out there waiting on the train? Maybe it's a hat. Maybe it's a fun pair of glasses. Maybe it's a button you wear. Maybe it's a fun tie. Maybe you dye your hair purple. Whatever your thing is that spawns a connection, lean into that. Go all in on that for yourself. And when someone does connect with you by saying, oh, I like your hair, I like that, hey, that's cool, don't miss those opportunities to really connect and say, hey, I'm James, what's your name? And they'll say, oh, I'm Bob, or I'm Susan. Hey, Susan, it's good to see you. Now, if you notice, I'm not saying it's nice to meet you. Mm-hmm. I'm saying it's good to see you. Mm-hmm. And there's different energy that goes with those words. It's good to see you, James. So many people, too many people, will go their whole lives in this dimension never hearing those words from someone. It's good to see you. Let's go of any biases, preconceptions, judgments. It's only in the now. There's no past, there's no future. I don't know where you went to school, where you didn't go to school, where you work, where you don't work, how much money you have, how much money you don't have, because none of those things matter right now. It's good to see you right now, just as you are. And that energy, 9 times out of 10, leads to the other person going, can I get a hug? Yes, we get a hug. Hug. And then a lot of times somebody says, hey, do you have a minute? Can we catch the next bus? Absolutely. Let's stay on the train another stop. Yeah, let's go get that coffee. Turns into a story. Somebody needs to tell you something. And, a lot of times they're heartbreaking stories. They're like, oh, my wife just died from cancer. Or, I just found out I have cancer. My son's in rehab. My daughter OD'd. I was thinking about killing myself today. On and on. These stories of heartspeak that need to be shared, need to be felt. If we just give ourselves the permission and the space to do that, everybody's got a story, James. All we have to do is stop and listen.
Yeah, and I would love to rewind back a little bit again to your Burning Man experience, and that seems like the thing that started the wheels in motion for all of this. I didn't know much about it. Last week, about a week ago, I interviewed someone who wrote a book about their experiences out there. And so they went through describing a little bit about what the event is. And they also informed me that a big part of the culture is gifting. Yeah. So is that where this seed may have gotten planted for you?
Yeah.
When you went out there and had that
chapter
experience?
1 of the book.
Yeah.
We talk about Burning Man. So,
okay.
I go into, try to give you just enough about Burning Man to not spoil it. But yeah, as I said earlier, 70,000 people from around the world converge in the middle of nowhere in the desert, Nevada, for 1 week. And we sign off on these 10 principles, the 10 principles of Burning Man. And these are basically the rules, if you will, that we all agree to this social contract. Things like leave no trace. That's a good one. Pick up your trash. We want to come out here and litter this beautiful land. So leave no trace, radical self-expression, inclusion, community, decommodification, which means there's no corporate sponsorships or brand or selling of things out there. And then gifting is one of the principles. So, and I list all 10 of the principles in chapter 1, but it is this principle of gifting. I mean, I connected with all 10 of those. In fact, I've gone to 6 Burning Mans at this point, and I don't know if I'm going back because I think I'm Burning Man. And somebody else needs to have a seat on the bus, to go have their experience. So I don't want to hog it. But it was really, I signed off on all of those 10 principles, and I was like, wow, this is great. And can I go back to the default world, to my real life back in Nashville? Can I keep doing this? Can I keep showing up with these 10 principles in my life every day? So I found I'd be walking down the street, or I'd see a little, gum wrapper on the sidewalk, and, I'd bend over and pick that up, where before I was like, why am I doing this? Well, because it's communal service. I didn't create it, but if I pick it up, I'm making it beautiful here for all of us, not just myself. Something that simple. What if we each had that mindset? Every time we were walking, we saw a piece of trash, even if it's not ours, we pick it up and throw it in the trash. Well, let's do that. Oh, come on. That's a simple one. We all benefit from that. Instead, I didn't throw that down there, I'm not picking it up. That's the default set, mode for most people. But what if we did pick it all up? But this gifting principle in the Burning Man canon, when you and I think of gifting, typically a quid pro quo experience. Somebody gifts you something, you feel compelled to gift them something back. It's almost like this knee-jerk reaction. Oh, thank you. Look, I've got this for you. True gifting doesn't really involve that knee-jerk reaction, doesn't involve that quid pro quo. True gifting is you simply accepting the other person's gift. You saying yes to the gift. That's true gifting, without any expectations of reciprocity. I've got these beads I made. I'd like to give you that. Oh, thank you. Oh, I've got this sticker. I'd like to gift you that. Oh, I've got, whatever the gift is. You accepting the other person's gift is the gift that you gave to the gift giver as the recipient. I mean, think about it. Have you ever tried to give something to somebody and they rejected it? And you're like, oh, I made this for you. And you're like, I don't want it. What?
Yeah.
So the Pink Socks movement is really based in this ethos of gifting, this principle of gifting that I picked up, from Burning Man. It's magic when you gift somebody these pink socks. And I've told people, through the years, and I still tell new folks, hey, listen, when you gift somebody their pink socks, it rarely works for you just to go up to someone like, hey, I'd like to give you these. The instructions are on the back label, okay? Just wait for it. Whoever comments on these socks, that's your person. That's who you're going to gift the pink socks to. Every time it works. It rarely works if you go first. You need to let that person engage, and now that's where your pink socks are going to go. And on our website, we provide pink socks at our cost, and you order them by the dozens because we want you to gift them away. Not just wear your pink socks, but have some in your bag with you to gift along the way, a pay it forward model, if you will. And so yeah, come get a dozen or 2 or 3 and experience the magic of gifting. It never gets old. Never. In fact, I still carry my little backpack with me when I go out, and so I have some pink socks with me. And if I don't, I've always got at least stickers in my kilt that I can give away and say, hey, listen, it's good to see you, James. All we have to do is show up with love and kindness in each now. You're already doing that. Just keep doing it. Deal? Boom. Give them a sticker. And you get the same energy, the same vibe on gifting a sticker as you do a pair of pink socks. Because really, it's not about the socks or the sticker. The gift is that connection that you just shared. But yeah, so chapter 1 of the book goes a little detail on Burning Man and the 10 principles. From the beginning, it's all built on this ethos of gifting, that people would be gifting each other pink socks. And here we are 11 years in, and people are still doing that every day. So grateful.
Well, that's amazing, and I'm grateful for you. It's always nice to see people finding creative ways to spread light out in the world, create connection. There's such a need for it because, my goodness, we are, as a society, especially if I do choose to flip on some social media for a minute, I just immediately think to myself, oh my gosh, first of all, I don't know what I can believe anymore what I'm seeing because of, like you mentioned, all the AI stuff. But second, it does make me feel disconnected from other people because it immediately creates a lack of trust in what I see out in the world.
Yeah.
But when I'm in front of another actual real person and we can relate and connect on a human level, it's so much better. So much better.
So much better. Yeah. So much better. The invitation and the encouragement to each of us is to put these down throughout the day, right? Mm-hmm. Put this down and just say good morning, good afternoon, hello. Just simple. It's just simple. We were talking about Mexico before we hit the record button, and one of the many things I love about each time I'm visiting in Mexico is when you're walking down the street, it's always, buenos dias, buenos tardes. This call and response. When you're walking down the sidewalk in Mexico and everybody's saying, good morning, it's morning time. They say it back. Like they're compelled to say it back. There was a time, and there still is a time, if you'll do it here, is walking down the street, just start saying hello. People go past, say, hey, good morning, hello. Just even if they don't say it back. And a lot of people, they're like, oh wait, somebody just told me hello or good afternoon or good morning. Like, I haven't heard that in a while. And that's where we've gotten to. Mm. And we've got to get back to just these small moments of connection to remind us that we're all in this thing together. We're all connected. That's the puzzle piece that, none of us are alone in this. And so just saying hello down the street, man, just start there. Small things are the big things.
They are the big things. And especially when they're done, first of all, and when they're done consistently, it doesn't take huge mountains to create a movement. It takes those little small steps and many people buying into it. And that's what you've created, which is really cool. I'm at pinksocks.life, which is your website where people can find out more about the movement. They can get the book. They can connect with what you guys are doing. And is there anything, if someone goes to that site, that they should look for first?
Just dive right in. On the homepage, you'll see an opportunity to gift socks, to donate, to get the book. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage. There's that TED Talk that I mentioned in the beginning. If you want to watch the whole thing there. My beard was a little darker back then and a little shorter, but the message is the same today. And I go into a little more detail, I think, on the Burning Man story in that TED Talk.
All right. Well, Nick, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything we didn't talk about that you think is important to leave people listening with today?
I get back to that invitation of, hey, if pink socks isn't your thing, that's okay. Find what is your thing and really do that. And we each have our thing. We each know what that is. Like, oh, every time I wear this shirt, I get a comment, or every time I carry this bag, I wear my unicorn, rain jacket. Somebody's, oh, well, whatever it is, man, do it. Just find that thing and go with it. And practice saying this, it's good to see you, instead of it's nice to meet you. The next time you engage with somebody, this is the first time, try it. Just say, hey, I'm Nick. It's good to see you, James. Just try it and watch how it lights up.
See where things go from there.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, Nick, thank you again for taking the time to have this conversation. I hope people got a ton out of it. And if you did, if you're listening right now, shoot me a DM, send me a message, smoke signal, whatever you got to do to let me know what you got out of this conversation.
Yeah. And James, one more thing, about the website. If you will, go up to the little hamburger, the navigation thing in the corner.
Yeah.
There's a section on there that says teachers and students. That tells the story of how we became involved with schools and what we're doing now. In fact, there's 2 chapters in the book that go into that topic. I don't really want to spoil anything for the audience because it's a lot of heart speak in those 2 chapters and a lot of gratitude for the original teacher who started this for us and all the teachers now in 34 schools in 9 different states who are using pink socks as part of their social emotional learning curriculum to teach kids about kindness. So I invite your listeners to go learn about that very important work as we're helping teachers support the work they're doing to grow good humans for the world.
That is important work. Thank you for doing that and promoting it. And I'm so excited that we got to have this conversation today.
Me too, James. I'm grateful for you. So thank you for letting me share the pink sock story. Very grateful.
Thanks so much for joining me today. And if you have an extra minute, I have a favor to ask. Some of you listen to this show on Apple Podcasts, and a lot of you I talk to are on Spotify or Amazon. I'd love it if you would take just a second to leave a rating or a review. It lets the platforms know that listeners are getting value from the show and suggest it to others who are interested in similar content. And as always, if you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a guest suggestion, or just general feedback, I'd love to hear about that too. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or at ajoyfulrebellion.com.